So you finally left that relationship. You've escaped that anxiety, that hot and cold behaviour, that manipulation. So why do you feel worse? Why are you crying more now than when you were actually in the relationship? Why does every part of you want to go back even though you know that that person was not right for you? If you've ever thought to yourself, maybe they weren't that bad after all. Maybe I shouldn't have ended the relationship. Should I have given them another chance? Then I want you to watch this entire video because those feelings are more common than you actually think they are. And just because you're having those feelings, it doesn't mean that you should actually go back to that person. In fact, it's actually a sign that you're actually breaking free. If you're new here, my name's Rita, and on this channel, I help you to break out of toxic relationship patterns, build your self-worth, and heal. And if that feels familiar to you, check out the link in the description box because I've got tools that can help you along this journey. And also hit the subscribe button if you like this type of content. So naturally, most people would think that when you leave a toxic relationship, you're naturally going to feel better. But healing doesn't work like that. When you're in survival mode, you're focused on trying to keep the relationship together, managing the drama. But when you get out of that relationship, that's when everything starts catching up with you. The grief, the disappointment, the real reality of what happened in that relationship. And when I think about my own journey, I know that feeling of thinking, surely I should be feeling better because that instability is now gone, but actually feeling so much worse than you did before and just not understanding the reason why, because it just doesn't make any logical sense. So one of the key things that you need to understand is that your nervous system is actually going through a process of withdrawal. This is not just a physical reaction, it's an emotional response. Your nervous system has adapted to accepting instability, drama, ups and downs. And all of a sudden, when that stops, your body recognizes that. That familiarity that was there is now being taken away, and it makes you feel a sense of instability. It's like if you try and break a habit or if you try and cut out caffeine, your body recognizes it and it takes a while for that to settle down. So when you feel those negative feelings, you're automatically going to be thinking, I'm missing this person so much, I need to be with them. But really, it's because your nervous system is dysregulated. One of the main things that you see in a toxic relationship is it's very emotionally intense. And that unpredictability, that uncertainty becomes familiar to your brain. When your brain stops getting that constant stimulation, as much as it was negative, you feel a bit flat. Things feel a bit boring, and it's obviously not because healthy is wrong. It's just because you have become so used to that chaos, you're now missing it. And that absence of the chaos can make you feel so uncomfortable. After a breakup, your brain can act in a way which seems so unusual but so common. And it actually starts editing the story of that relationship. It's like it's creating a highlight reel where you're having these memories of the good times, the chemistry, the things that you did together. And it actually forgets the pain, the anxiety, the uncertainty, the toxic behavior that was so common in that relationship. And it's a coping mechanism. You know, your brain is doing that to try and minimize the discomfort that you're feeling. But in reality, you're not getting a true picture of what the relationship was actually like. It's an edited version. So it's really important to remember that just because you miss those good times, it doesn't mean that the relationship was healthy and that it's something that you need to go back to. If you're finding that you're relating to a lot of these points, then you should watch another video that I've made, and it's called Why You Still Miss Your Ex Even Though They Treated You Badly. Because in that video, I'll go way deeper into the reasons why your mind keeps pulling you back to someone even though you had such a negative experience with them. So I'll link it in the description. Another reason why you feel worse after that breakup is because you're not actually craving that person, you're craving relief. And this is one of the biggest reasons why people go back to a toxic relationship. You feel bad, so you'll think to yourself, oh, I should go back to that person. But what's actually happening is you're trying to find some type of relief to the pain that you're feeling. Going back feels attractive because it's familiar. You feel that that pain would disappear. But the problem with that is relief doesn't equal healing. So you might go back and yes, you might feel that temporary sense of relief, but you're not healed. And the most likely thing that will happen is the same cycle will then repeat itself because you're not any different and they're not any different. You're both the same people in that relationship and you're likely to just go through this over and over again. One of the things that people really fear when it comes to a breakup is the future. What does that look like without that person? It can feel scary. Who will I date next? What if I've made a mistake? What if I should go back to that person? And when the future feels so scary, it makes the past look so much more attractive, even when you know it was unhealthy. And that's the trap that a lot of people fall into. I'm going to be real with you. When you come out of a relationship, you lose more than just that relationship. You're losing your routines, your hopes and dreams, your wishes for the future. Maybe the wedding that you imagine, the family that you imagine that you'd have. So I can understand it does feel like a big loss. I've felt that sense of loss myself. So what's important is giving yourself permission to acknowledge that, but also recognizing that just because you feel that way, it doesn't mean that that person is right for you and you should go back to that particular relationship. You know, a lot of people talk about healing and how brilliant it is to go through the healing process, but the fact is healing is not an easy process. And the truth is, a lot of people, they would much rather sit in the discomfort of that relationship than face the harsh reality of healing. But I would recommend pushing through that healing process because there'll be growth there and it's much better than going backwards to that negative relationship, because even if that relationship does end and you don't go back to that specific person, the likelihood is if you've got things that you need to heal and, you know, traumas that you need to face, you'll probably more than likely start a relationship with a very similar person to your ex, and you'll find that that cycle continues. So I really want you to remember these key things. Just because you feel bad, it doesn't mean that leaving was a mistake. Wanting to go back and constantly thinking about them doesn't mean that you failed. It just means that you need time for your mind and your body to adjust to a new reality. And another thing that I would say is try and move out of that space where you're thinking, why am I feeling like this? And you're trying to force yourself to stop feeling that way. Ask yourself a more helpful question. Who am I becoming throughout this process? In what areas am I growing? How am I becoming a better, stronger person? And yes, you may have lost that relationship, but remember, you're now in the process of finding yourself. If you're wanting to find out more about what patterns you hold now when it comes to relationships, take my free quiz. And if you want to break free of these toxic relationship patterns for good, check out my attachment reset toolkit, link in the description. If you're committed to moving forward rather than backwards, comment the word below, free, and also subscribe. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video.